Okay. Good morning. We're going to continue studying the story of Joseph. He was in Egypt at that time. So let us go to Genesis chapter 42. Genesis 42 and verse 1. Before we start, this morning we have a very special visitor with us, dear to me. He's my grandson, Raphael. He's sitting right there beside Myra. Stand up, Raphael, say hi. Love you. So now Joseph, as you know, he is the one after Pharaoh in power, and he is the one who is selling food to all the nations around Egypt during the years of famine. So let us see what it says here, chapter 42 and verse 1. Now when Jacob saw that there was food in Egypt, corn is not the right word because there was no corn at that time, so we're going to say food, and it is actually wheat. Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look one upon another? Jacob, that's the father of Joseph, you will find his name changing from Jacob to Israel. So if you see the word Israel or the word Jacob, it is the same person. So now this is the time of famine, that Egypt has 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. All over the countries around them, they have famine. So now the 7 first years of plenty already passed, and they started the what? The 7 years of famine. So Jacob, living in the land of Canaan, which is north of Egypt, which is present-day Israel, he didn't have any food. So he told his sons, why are you looking at each other? Verse 2. And he said, behold, I have heard that there is food in Egypt. Get you down. Underline the word down. Why down? Down means south, because Israel is north of Egypt. So when you say down, the Bible is perfect in geography. They didn't have any GPS at that time or any maps. But God knows where is Egypt in regard to where is Israel is. So that's what down means what? South. And buy for us from thence that we may live and not die. And Joseph 10 brethren. Stop. Didn't he say Joseph has 11 brethren? How come it's only 10? Because the Benjamin, which is the brother of Joseph from the same mother, Jacob will not allow him to go with those 10 wicked brothers. So he has 10 wicked brothers which wanted to kill him, you remember? So let's say 10. So underline the word 10, tell you exactly that they're only the first 10 brothers, and he did not have the 11th brother, which is what? Benjamin. Verse 3, and Joseph's 10 brethren went down, again down, south, to buy food in Egypt. But Benjamin, here it is, but Benjamin, Joseph's brother. Stop. As I mentioned to you before, Jacob married 4 women. 3 of them he married by force, and he was pushed to marry them. He didn't have any love affair between him and them. The only was the love of his life was Rachel, the first wife, and she the one who gave him 2 sons, Joseph and Benjamin. And when she was delivering Rachel, when she was delivering Benjamin, she died. So now, Jacob lost his wife, beloved wife. He lost Joseph because the 10 brothers told him that he was eaten by a wild beast. So the only one he left for him is who? Benjamin. He doesn't want to have Benjamin also risk his life and go down to Egypt, might not come back. Something happened to him. 4. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sinned not with his brethren. Why? For he said, let peradventure mischief befall him. I might lose him too. And the sons of who? Israel. Remember I told you Israel and Jacob is the same person. So here his name is Israel. So don't say you're confused. They belong to the same person. And sons of Israel came to buy food among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. All the countries around Egypt, they had the same problem. They have famine. They don't have any food. So they came to Egypt to buy food from them. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. You remember Joseph dreamed a dream long time ago, and he told his brothers, you're going to come and worship me? And they hate him for that, and they wanted to kill him. It happened. They not only kneel down like this, they have their faces touch the ground in front of him. So his dream came true. He remembered that time. Didn't I tell them that long time ago? It happened. 7. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them. How did he make himself strange unto him? He is the governor. Number one, the last time he then seen him, he was 17 years old. How old is he now? The Bible said, and we read that before, that he stood before Pharaoh to interpret the dreams when he was what? 30 years old. 7 years passed of the plenty, so it's now 37. These people came almost around 1 year after the famine started. The custom in Middle East that people store food for almost 1 year ahead, just in case. So they store the food 1 year ahead, but the famine is still there. So they got hungry. So he actually was, how old was he? 38 years old. You deduct 17 years from 38, that's 21 years. So they have not seen his brother for the last 21 years. He was a teenager. So naturally he's changed the way he looked. Number two, the custom, if you look at the custom at that time, the Egyptians usually shave their head and their mustache and their beard and everything. The Hebrews, they live in a primitive kind of society. They let their hair grow and their mustache and their beard. So they look different, completely different. Number three, the custom and the protocol when you come from another country and stand before Pharaoh, Pharaoh used to be God, or somebody representing Pharaoh, you should not dare to look at his face directly. You have to bow your head like this and put your head down and your eyesight down. If anyone was caught looking at the governor, Joseph, his head will be cut off. So that's the custom at that time, or protocol. So they didn't know him, but he knew them, of course. 7 again. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them, and he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him, and I already told you why. And Joseph remembered what? The dreams, 9, which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. Spies. Spies is a very, very serious crime. If someone caught spies in another country, what is his punishment? Execution, death. So he's telling him, you will be dead. Do you remember what they did to him when he went to see them when he was 17 years old, and they caught him and they wanted to kill him? Death for death. So they told him, you're spies. 10. And they said unto him, Nay, my Lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. There is no servants at that time. They are either a slave or a master. So the Egyptian translation actually is supposed to say, Nay, my master, but to buy food are thy slaves come. Always remember that. There was no servants at that time. Either you're a master or a slave. 11. We are all man's sons. We are true men. Really true men? Are you kidding? Honest? Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. Now, the question is, what language did they communicate with each other? Now, he is the governor, Egyptian. He doesn't want to reveal to them that who was. So you say, well, he knew Egyptian and Hebrew language. His brothers knew only Hebrew. So the logic will be they're speaking with each other in Hebrew. No. He doesn't want to reveal him. He doesn't want them to be suspicious of his identity. So he spoke to them in what? In Egyptian? How do I know that? Nathan, go to verse 23 in your Bible. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by what? Interpreter, translator. These people, when they came to Egypt to buy food, they come from different countries. So before they come to Joseph, the one who's in charge of the operation, before they come into the presence of Joseph, will ask him, from which country you come from? Oh, we came from Syria. Oh, so you're speaking Aramaic. So he will get one of the translators, which is beside him, who knows Aramaic, go with his people to go into to see Joseph. Oh, we came from Phoenicia, which is present-day Lebanon. All these countries around Egypt. Oh, you're talking Phoenician. You point to one of translators who know Phoenician, go with his people to meet Joseph. You just don't walk into Joseph like that. Everything has to be prepared. So he knew that these people are speaking what? Hebrew. So he appointed one translator to go with them into the presence of Joseph. So Joseph will speak to his brothers in Egyptian. The translator or the interpreter will translate that to Hebrew for his brothers to understand. Then he gets the response from his brothers in Hebrew, translated to Egyptian, so that Joseph will understand what his brothers said. Of course, Joseph does not have to wait until he hears the interpretation. He knows exactly. But he will pretend that he does not understand their language, their brother's language, until he hears the interpretation by the translator. So keep in mind, from now on, any communication or any way they are speaking to each other, they went through what? Interpreter. The Bible is not going to mention that every time they talk to each other. You see, if the Bible said everything, every minute stuff, that book will be so big, so large, you won't be able to carry it. It will be actually in volumes. So you have to figure it out yourself. So from now on, when you hear them talking to each other, Joseph and his brothers, they're speaking through what? Interpreter. "12, and he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come." Now, he is trying to give them or let them reap what they did to him when he was 17 years old. There's a very famous verse in the Bible. I always keep it before my eyes because it's very, very important. Nathan, put for us Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. Galatians 6, 7. "Be not deceived, God is not mocked." What does it mean by mocked? Laughed at? Ridicule? "For whatsoever a man or a woman, by the way, soweth, that shall he or she also reap." They are reaping what they did 21 years ago when they wanted to kill him, and for no reason. And you can imagine the anguish on the face of Joseph when they caught him and they want to kill him, how much pleaded and begged and cried to save his life. And the only way his life was saved because Reuben, the firstborn son, wanted to save him and bring him back to his father, because Reuben is the firstborn, and I told you the custom in the Middle East that the firstborn is responsible for the welfare and well-being of the family when the father is not around. So when they were with him and the father was not there, whom Jacob is going to ask if Joseph was killed? Reuben. He doesn't want to face his father that way, so he wants to save him. So Reuben is the one who saved him from their hands. So here it is. Whatever man soweth, that shall also reap. Let's go back again to, and you know what? When he told him, you're spies, what do you think the reaction will be? We're going to be dead. 13. And they said, thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan, and behold, the youngest in this day with our father, which is Benjamin. We know that. But look what they said about Joseph. And one is what? Not. In my Bible, originally it means, and one is lost. They are really lying in front of the one whom they are talking about. It's lost. What do you mean lost? You don't know what happened to him? That's what that's what made him even mad. Look what he said in verse 14. And Joseph said unto them, this is it. I spake unto you, saying you are spies. Now, as I said, the punishment of a spy is what? Punishment by execution. All he had to do is to point to someone around him. Joseph said, okay, take those 10 wicked men, have them executed, and bring me their 10 heads on a plate. They can say, oh, well, we need to hire a lawyer to plead our case. Or no, we're going to take our case to the Supreme Court. Well, Joseph was the Supreme Court. And no one on earth will save them. He is let him drink from the same cup they let him drink 21 years ago. You can imagine the anguish in their faces, how they were afraid. They know they're going to lose their life for sure. Nobody's going to save them. And they didn't know that Joseph understand what they're saying. Let us go, Nathan, to the same chapter and verse 21. And they said one to another, that's his brothers, we are verily guilty concerning our brother, who is what was Joseph, in that we saw what? The anguish, the terror, the pleading, crying to save his life, the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore, is this distress come upon us. We're reaping what we have done 21 years against our brother. 22. And Reuben, or Reuben actually, and who's Reuben? We said he's the firstborn. He's the one who's supposed to speak. He's the one always in charge of his brothers. And Reuben answered them, saying, speak not I unto you. Didn't I tell you, saying, do not sin against the child? As you remember, why child? Joseph was 17 years old. And ye would not hear, therefore, behold, also his blood is required. Whatever we sow or planted 21 years ago, we are reaping it now. And look at verse 23. And they, his brothers, knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by interpreter. He's listening to what they're saying among each other, and you know what they're saying. He said, well, I'm let you drink from the same cup you let me drink from. So let's go, Nathan, back to verse 14. And Joseph said unto them, remember, always through interpreter. And Joseph said unto them, this is it. I spake unto you, saying, you are spies. I mean, you're dead. You're dead. 15. Hereby ye shall be proved by the life of Pharaoh. He is swearing by the life of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was a god at that time. So his swearing with God is a very serious business. He said, I swear by the life of Pharaoh, ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Bring Benjamin to prove your story. Send one of you and let him fetch your brother, and you shall be kept in where? In prison. That prison is not like the prison Joseph used to be. It was an elite prison, 5-star prison, wasn't only for the ones who offended Pharaoh at that time. That was a common man prison, a horrible place to be. That your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life. See, by the life of Pharaoh again. He swore twice. Very serious. Surely you are spies. I mean, surely you are what? Dead. 17. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. He put them in a prison for 3 days. Now, imagine those 10 brothers sitting in the prison for 3 days, wondering he might change his mind and get somebody to execute us and cut off our heads. How much anguish, how much sorrow, how much terror they had for 3 days. They don't know what their fate is. What's going to happen? 18. And Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, This do and live, for I fear God. If you be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry food for the famine of your houses. But bring your younger brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. They said, okay, we'll do that. And again, 21, and they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is the distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not to you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and you would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And you know not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by interpreter. And look at verse 24. And he, Joseph, turned himself about from them, and what? Wept. He did not weep because he was sorry about them. He's weeping because he remembered what they did to him 21 years ago. The anguish, the terror, the situation he was, that he was going to be killed for no reason. He remembered that, and that's what he wept. 24, and he turned himself about from them, and he wept, and returned to them again, and he commanded them, communed with them, and took from them who? Simon, and bound him before their eyes. Why Simeon? Why not Reuben? Reuben was the firstborn. Reuben, he's supposed to go to his father and tell him what happened. And who saved Joseph's life? Reuben. So he's giving that favor to him. Who's Simeon? Simeon is the second-born son of Jacob. So he took the second-born and bound him before their eyes. What Simon did, you go back, and I already mentioned that to you before, go later on and read chapter 34. He and his brother Levi committed the crime of genocide. They killed every male from one tribe by the sword, committed a sin of genocide. And you have his story in chapter 34. Read it later on. So he is reaping also what he's done long time ago. And when he said here, and verse 24, and bound him before their eyes, he didn't put a plastic cord around his hand. He bound him with chains of iron, his hands and his feet, very humiliating. So they saw what happened to their brother. Could you imagine how scared they are? Okay. We're going to jump a little bit ahead, because they took the food to their house, to their homes, and he also did a lot of things that they make him terrified to death. Read that later. So after they finished the food, they didn't have any more food. So they told their father, we wanted to go back to Egypt to get more food. So let us go to chapter 43 and verse 1. And remember that they went to Jacob and told him, we need to take Benjamin with us to Egypt. He said, no, I'm not going to give it to you. I don't want to lose him. 43:1. And the famine was sore in the land. Remember, 7 years. They didn't expect that. Except the famine will be 1 year, 2 years, but they didn't know that the 7 years will be. And it came to pass when they had eaten up the food which they had brought out of Egypt, their father, which is Jacob, said unto them, Go again, buy us a little food. And Judah, one of the brothers, spake unto him, saying, The man, who's the man? Joseph, the governor, did solemnly protest unto us, saying, You shall not see my face except your brother be with you. Who is the brother? Benjamin. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, You shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, Therefore dealt ye so ill with me? Why you treat me that way, as to tell the man whether you had a yet brother? Did you have to tell him that you have another brother? 7. And they said, by the way, you know what Benjamin, you know what the name of Benjamin means? In Hebrew, is the J is pronounced Y. So his name is Ben-Yamin. Ben in Hebrew means son. Yamin is the right hand. So he called him the son of my right hand. Could you imagine losing your right hand? That's the name of Benjamin. Benjamin is. 7. And they said, The man asked us straightly of our state and our kindred, saying, Is your brother yet alive? Have you another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? Did we know that he's going to tell us, Bring our brother down? We didn't know. We just answered whatever he asked us for. Skip down to verse 16. So he relentlessly, Jacob gave him Benjamin to them, because he said, if I don't give it to them, we're going to die from starvation. Take him. Remember, Jacob also was a wicked man. He's reaping what he did when he was young. He stole the birthright from his Esau. Esau was going to kill him, and he ran away. He cheated his father-in-law Laban, and his father Laban was going to kill him, and he ran away. All his life was a cheater, deceiver. So he's reaping also what he planted before. He lost his beloved wife. He lost one of his beloved sons, Joseph. And now he's what? He's about almost think that he might lose what? His beloved son. The 10 brothers were wicked, like father, like sons. The whole family was a wicked family, and they are reaping what they have planted years ago. And that's what I said, that verse I show you in Galatians 6:7 is very important, that we put it always before our eyes. But whatever we are planting when we were young, we're going to reap what? When we're old. When we're young, we're strong, we can take it. But when we reap when we're old, it'll be hard on us. So they took Benjamin with them, and verse 16, and when Joseph saw Benjamin, thank you, Nathan, with them he said to the ruler of his house, don't forget that Joseph is living in a palace. He is the next to Pharaoh in power. He said to the ruler of his house, bring these men home and slay them. No, slay here means make a meal by killing some animals, some birds, make a big feast. And slay and make ready, for this man shall dine with me at noon. Skip all the way down to 29, verse 29. So the men went inside the house, and now what's going to happen? 29, Joseph met them in his house, and he saw the 11 brothers. And he, Joseph, lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son. You see how the Bible is very accurate? His mother's son, because he and his brother belonged to one mother. The other 10 came from the other 4 women that Jacob married. His mother's son, he said, if this is your younger brother of whom ye spake unto me, and he said, God be gracious unto thee, what? My son. underline the word my son. Why he said my son? If he said my son, then there is a big difference in age between him and his brother. When he was 17 years old in the land of Canaan, his mother probably, I'm not sure 100%, probably was just delivering Benjamin. So he was just a baby at that time. So when he looked at him, he told his brother, this is Benjamin, because he didn't know how he looked like at that time. So it was a big, big difference between their ages. Imagine seeing your brother whom you have not seen since he was a small young child for the last 21 years ago. Could you imagine the feeling of Joseph when he saw his brother? It says, verse 30, and Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there. Just to see his brother at that time, imagine how much was emotional for him. 31, and he washed his face and went out and refrained himself, controlled himself. He doesn't want to show his anger, his feeling, and said, sit on bread. Are they going to eat bread? I read it exactly. Meal. Put meal instead of bread. The Bible always tells you bread. Why bread? I mentioned that before. For the people never heard before, the people in Middle East, the main diet, the most important item of their food is bread. They eat bread in the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now the bread there is pita bread, like you know here, but also they have kind of bread like a Hawaiian bread, which has a big, thick pulp. So what they do, they stuff that bread with lamb, beef, chicken, fish, eggs, raisins, figs, dates, nuts. So it is a full meal, and that's why they use the word bread. So, and then Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Why he said I'm bread of life? He didn't say I'm the hot dog of life or the hamburger of life. Because the people at that time in the Middle East, what they have, the most important food, physical food, bread. So he said, I am the bread of life, means I am the bread which is spiritual food. So remember why he said bread. 32, and they sit on for him. Now look at the arrangement, the whole company, they divide him into groups. You got the Egyptians, which are serving Joseph. You got his Joseph brothers and Joseph himself. So let's see how they sat them to eat. 32 is very important. And they sit on for him by himself. Joseph sat in front of a table by himself. And for them, the brothers, for themselves, and for the Egyptians, they did eat with them by themselves. Stop. So that's the arrangement. Imagine, or say this platform was the dining room. So they have the brothers of Joseph sitting in a table right there where the piano is. And they have Joseph sitting in a table by himself where I'm standing. And the Egyptians sat by themselves in a table right where the organ is. If I taught that lesson just a year and a half ago and tell you that those ancient Egyptians practiced social distancing. They practiced social distancing. Probably that phrase was not even there at that time. That phrase is now the most common phrase in the whole world in many languages. Why did they do that? Why they put them in 3 separate tables? It says, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. What abominations means? Disgust, distasteful. Why? You go back again to the custom of these people at that time. The Egyptians, they have very high standard of sanitation hygiene. They eat their food with spoons and forks. The Hebrews, coming from a very primitive society, they eat with their fingers. They scoop the fingers in their food and put it in their mouth and put back their fingers and scoop again. Now, let me show you something actually alluded to that in the Last Supper when Jesus sat down with disciples to eat. Let's go, Nathan, to Matthew chapter 26 and verse 20. Look what they sat down to eat, Jesus and his disciples. Now when the eve was come, Jesus, sat down with the 12, and he said, and they did eat, and he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say to him, Lord, is it I? I'll pay attention to verse 23. And he answered and said, He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. This is the custom at that time in the Hebrews, or the Jewish people. They would dip their hands, what's his hands? Their fingers, with him in the same dish Jesus is eating, and they eat. This is the way they are. Egyptians don't like that. They don't like because it will be cross-contamination. They don't want to sit down with people because they were very primitive, so they put him far away from them. So you understand now, and I already gave you an example in the New Testament. So, why they put Joseph in, why they did not let Joseph sit down with his countrymen? Until now, he did not reveal that that's their brother. The Egyptians don't know anything about the relation, but they know that they are the countrymen of him. They come from the same country. Why didn't let Joseph sit with them? Simple, they don't want him to die or get sick, eating with them, dipping their food and get cross-contamination. And if he got sick, what's Pharaoh going to do to these Egyptians? We'll cut off their heads. So to be in the safe side, they put him what? By himself. Said, okay, why he did not let him eat with the Egyptians? Because again, they don't want to embarrass him to let him sit with them and abandon his countrymen. So how they solve it? They put him in the middle by himself, so he can communicate with the Egyptians on one side, and he can communicate with his countrymen through an interpreter on the other side. Case solved. They solved the case by having these three people sit separately. So you understand now why they set each group by themselves. And they, 33, and they sat before him, who they? His brethren, his brothers, the 11, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth, and the men, the Egyptians, marveled one on another. When they sat down, the brothers, they sat down according to their birthright, number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on. So the Egyptian looked at him and said, oh, that's something. Look at verse 34. And he, Joseph, took and sent messes. What's messes means? Portions of food. Unto them, to his brethren, from before him. But Benjamin's mess, Benjamin's portion, was 5 times so much as of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him. Why he sent 5 portions to his brother Benjamin, and he only sent 1 portion to the other brothers? He wants to see how jealous they will be. Remember, they are wicked people. He wants to see how their feeling will be, what their reaction would be. Now, after that, until now, he did not reveal himself to his brothers. Remember that. So they went home, they took the food, they took it back, and then they came back, and they wanted more food, of course. So what happened? Let's go to chapter 45. Again, I'm running a little bit faster because I want you to read all that stuff. And he gave him a hard time all the time, and they were terrified. So let's go to 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried. That's when they came back, and he is going to reveal himself to his brothers. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, and caused every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known to what? His brethren. And he wept. Jesus wept. You remember? There's a big similarity between Joseph and Jesus. One day I'm going to teach that one day. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. You know what troubled is? Terrified. Could you imagine the shock of their life? We're going to be dead now for sure. But hear what he said to them. He comforted them. He said what? Verse 4. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me. Come near to me means what? You're okay. Come near to me. When you like somebody, you like him to come close to you. And pray. I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves that you sold me hither. Why? Why? For God did send me before you to preserve what? Life. If he didn't go before them, you wouldn't have any. Israel will not exist. Jesus will not have come. Jesus came from the tribe of Judah. So what God did in purpose to have Joseph sold to Egypt in order to save what? His people. Sometimes we look only in front of our nose and think that, why God did do that to me? We didn't see why God did that, because it's good for us later on. And later on, when we were angry against God and we saw that he did better than what we thought we would like to do, we said, God, forgive me. Your plan was better than mine. For these 2 years had the famine been in the land. Remember I told you they came the first year after the famine, and then they came back the second year. So that's the answer to your question now. 2 years in the famine. Been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing means planting, nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save what? Your lives by great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me here, but who? God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye and go up to my... Up? Why is it up? They came down from what? Canaan. Egypt is south. He told him, go up means what? Go north to Canaan. As I said, the Bible is perfect in geography. He said, go up, because they're going now from what? From Egypt up to Canaan. So they're going north. So up means what? North. Haste ye and go up to my father, and said unto him, thus said thy son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down south unto me, and tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen. Stop. What does the land of Goshen means? He is giving them the best land in Egypt, which is fertile. They are shepherds. They are having sheep, goats, and sheep. So they want to have a very good pasture. So he's trying to give them the best part. And that's in the Nile Delta. And I showed the map before. And it's close by the capital of Egypt at that time, Memphis, where Joseph was there. 10. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be what? Near unto me. Because the capital was near the land of Goshen. Thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy hares, and all that thou hast. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast come to poverty. And behold, your eyes see me, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that is my mouth, that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and all that ye have seen. And ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck, and he wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren, and wept upon them. And after that, his brethren what? Talked to him. What did they do? They don't have an interpreter anymore. They're speaking in what? In Hebrew, the same language. Verse 21. And he gave, and the children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagon according to the commandment of Pharaoh. Pharaoh knew already, so he asked, wagons like what? Like the jeeps or the Humvees of today. Why? They have to bring all their belongings, all the people. So he has to have a big company coming to Egypt. There were 70 people, by the way. So he gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the way. To all of them he gave each man changes of raiment, that's Joseph. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of raiment. What do you think his brother will look? Well, better be careful, don't be envy, or we're going to get killed. So leave him alone. And to his father he sent after this manner 10, let's skip to 24. So he went, so he sent his brethren away, and they departed, and he said unto them, see that you fall not out by the way. What does it mean, fall not out by the way? Don't start fighting between each other. And they went up again north out of Egypt, and came into the land of Canaan unto Jacob their father, and told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he is a governor over the land of Egypt. And Jacob's heart fainted, for he believed them not. Didn't you tell me that a beast ate him? You're telling me now that Joseph is alive? 27. And they told him all the words of Joseph which he had said unto them. And when he saw the wagons which Joseph has sent to carry him, the spirit of Jacob their father revived. And Israel said, as again, Jacob and Israel the same person, it is enough, Joseph my son is alive, yet alive, I will go and see him before I die. So the end of the story was a happy story. The Lord did it that way in order to save the nation of Israel from utter destruction. So Jesus will be coming according to the prophecies. So everything in the Bible is written is for a purpose, for a reason. And if we are Christians, we have to believe what the Lord is preparing for us better than what we think is good for us. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.